Imagine the sky roiling with unseen storms, silent, thunder crackling through the clouds, as if the heavens themselves have cracked open. A hush falls over the world, and every living soul senses an invisible tremor beneath their feet. 2 millennia ago, an exiled apostle on a rocky island scribbled a vision so vivid it left readers breathless. 7 seals, 7 trumpets, 7 bowls, divine warnings of cataclysm. Today, echoes of that ancient prophecy reverberate through every headline: global pandemics, supernatural weather extremes, creeping authoritarianism. What if those cryptic symbols aren't just allegory, but a precise blueprint for 2025? What if the visions recorded on Patmos are unfolding before our eyes? Tonight, we peel back the layers of time to reveal the chilling parallels between Revelation's warnings and our modern world. Is humanity hurtling toward a preordained climax, or can we still alter the script? Behold, he is coming with the clouds, and every eye will see him. Revelation 1-7. Stay with us and steel your heart, because what you're about to see could change everything. In AD 95, the Apostle John, exiled to the barren Isle of Patmos, was granted a series of visions that would shape millennia of theological thought. Surrounded by jagged cliffs and scrubbed by salt wine, he wrestled with thunderous voices, celestial scrolls, and creatures beyond imagination. With ink barely dry on papyrus, he described seals broken by a lamb, trumpets blasting judgment, bowls spilling wrath upon the earth. For John, each symbol was a living portent of divine justice. When the first seal opened, he saw a rider on a white horse, victory itself only to be followed by conquest and war. By the 7th trumpet, the cosmos would quake under God's final decree. Early Christians read these passages with trembling hearts. Irenaeus, writing in the late 2nd century, recast the trumpets as literal calamities, nomadic hordes sweeping across borders, famine-starved kingdoms into submission, pestilence-ravaged cities. Tertullian heard in the bowls of wrath echoes of the Antonine plague that decimated Rome in AD 165. For these fathers of the Church, Revelation was not distant allegory, but immediate comfort. Divine justice would not overlook human suffering. In humble catacombs beneath the eternal city, persecuted believers drew strength from John's vision, certain that each trumpet blast would one day vindicate the faithful and judge the oppressor. As centuries passed, interpretation shifted. In medieval scriptoria, monks illuminated Revelation with dragons and beasts writ in gold leaf, but they largely viewed the text as symbolic of spiritual warfare, sin versus sanctity, church versus heresy. Yet beneath the fresco chapels, the specter of Revelation whispered in prayer. When would Rome itself fall under its 6th trumpet? That question lingered until AD 476, when the Western Empire succumbed to our aging world, martial axes and famine. Allies once unbowed, now kneeling before barbarian kings. Scholars of that day saw in the collapse of Rome the shaking of earth itself, a divine judgment foretold in John's vision. Then came the Reformation. Martin Luther and John Calvin, scouring Scripture for truth, beheld in the beast of Revelation 13 the corrupt institution of the papacy, an earthly empire wreathed in tyranny. Prophecy became a sword in the hands of reformers, carving new theological landscapes. Pamphleteers warned of Antichrist rising in velvet robes, while peasants marched under banners of the Lamb, demanding justice both temporal and eternal. Yet with every wave of zeal, new sects rose, each claiming to possess the key to the seals, trumpets, bowls, whose interpretation would be true. The 19th century birthed dispensationalism, an approach dividing history into eras or dispensations. Revelation seals, trumpets, and bowls were recast as future events, to be unlocked only in the end days. The Scofield Reference Bible popularized this viewpoint among English speakers, and by the 20th century, prophecy conferences and printed pamphlets speculated on dates, lunar eclipses, and signs in the heavens. Each generation peered through the same prophetic telescope, seeking the end. Why 2025? Over the last decade, a curious convergence has emerged. Anniversary years of past calamities align with unprecedented global unrest. Astronomical conjunctions mirror biblical timelines, while economic, environmental, and technological crises mount in crescendo. Could 2025 be more than another date on a calendar? If Revelation's trumpet warnings align with modern parallels, we may stand on a threshold John himself could scarcely imagine. Consider the first trumpet, and hail and fire, mixed with blood, were thrown to the earth. Revelation 8-7. In recent years, record-breaking wildfires have scorched continents, Australia's 2020 infernos, California's creeping flames, Siberia's smoke-choked skies. Vast forests became rivers of molten ember, ancient trees collapsing like matchsticks. Simultaneously, microplastics and industrial pollutants dye rivers blood red during toxic algae blooms from the Gulf Coast to the Baltic. When the Earth convulses under environmental fury, it feels as though Revelation's cosmic trumpet has sounded its first note, warning that our stewardship of creation teeters on the brink. The second trumpet declares, a great mountain burning with fire was cast into the sea. Revelation 8-8. A global pandemic swept the world in early 2020, reminiscent of a fiery mountain crashing into the seas of public health. Lockdowns, vaccine debates, and digital health passports dominated headlines and dinner conversations alike. In some regions, citizens felt poisoned by conflicting data and mandates, metaphorical wormwood spilling into society. Revelation 8:11. The bitter cup of medical crisis divided communities, life-saving interventions laced with fear and political strife. For many, the second trumpet's echo has yet to fade. The third trumpet sounds. Then I heard a voice saying, "Rise, and measure the temple of God, but do not harm the court, for it was given to the angels to harm the earth and the sea." Revelation 11:1-2. Today's angels are satellites and AI algorithms, their unblinking eyes measuring every human movement. Governments and tech conglomerates wield unprecedented power over raw data, tracking purchases, private conversations, even physiological metrics through wearables. Privacy has become a relic. The line between protection and oppression blurs. In smart cities laced with cameras and data hubs, freedom itself trembles under constant surveillance. The fourth trumpet heralds, a third of the sun was struck, a third of the moon, and a third of the stars. And it was darkened. Revelation 8:12. Financial markets are modern sun, moon, and stars guide decisions, fortunes, and futures. Yet stock crashes, currency devaluations, and crypto's volatile swings dim these celestial bodies. The 2008 financial meltdown blackened prosperity's sky. Looming debt crises in major economies threaten fresh darkness. When the lights go out on global stability, the path ahead becomes obscured, and panic spreads like wildfire. With the fifth trumpet comes spiritual deception. They were given a king over them, the angel of the bottomless pit. Their torment was like the torment of a scorpion. Revelation 9:11-12. Social media platforms overflow with charismatic voices promising fast-track salvation, miracle cures, UFO revelations, globalist conspiracies. Deep-fake sermons and AI-generated prophecies dazzle the senses. Yet beneath the spectacle lies moral decay. Populations entranced by sensational lies refuse to seek deeper truth. False hopes proliferate, stinging minds more deeply than any physical threat. The sixth trumpet unleashes geopolitical upheaval, and the four angels were released to kill a third of mankind. Revelation 9:15. Global alliances shift like tectonic plates. Once secure pacts crumble, while nuclear-armed states posture with saber-rattling defiance. Proxy wars ignite regional flashpoints. Refugee waves swell across borders. Cyber attacks target critical infrastructure, and precision drones cast long shadows over civilian populations. If 1 in 3 people face existential threats through combat, famine, or engineered collapse, the sixth trumpet's echoes are unmistakable. Finally, the seventh trumpet sounds. Then the temple of God was opened in heaven, and there were seen the ark of his covenant. And there were flashes of lightning, rumblings, peals of thunder. Revelation 11:19. This is the crescendo of divine intervention. cosmic judgments, and the promise of a new order. Signs in the heavens, cometary alignments, unexplained lights fuel speculation. Astronomers and theologians alike watch as celestial events converge toward 2025. Is this the overture to the ultimate act of history, the curtain rising on a new heaven and earth? Based on these converging signs, here are 3 possible trajectories for humanity in 2025. Scenario 1. Full-scale collapse. In the worst-case scenario, Revelation's trumpets coalesce into a cascade of catastrophes. A supercharged El Niño triggers simultaneous mega-hurricanes across multiple oceans. Coastal cities flood. Entire nations lose arable land. A mutated virus evades existing vaccines, sparking global panic. Quarantines fragment societies. Black markets for medical supplies explode. State-sponsored hackers take down critical infrastructure, power grids, water treatment plants, financial systems plunging billions into darkness. Starvation, disease, and civil unrest claim lives by the tens of millions. Governments collapse. Warlords and extremist groups carve out fiefdoms. In this bleak tableau, each trumpet judgment rings in perfect harmony, driving the world toward an irreversible abyss. Only the bravest cling to faith amid the chaos. Scenario 2. Mid-crisis awakening. A more moderate outcome still carries severe pain, but offers a glimmer of hope. Natural disasters and pandemics afflict regions unevenly. International aid arrives too late or proves inadequate. Markets plunge, but emergency measures, universal basic income pilots, debt jubilees, resource-sharing pacts soften the blow. Citizens demand transparency. Open-source data platforms empower grassroots solutions. Tech companies open surveillance APIs to independent audit. Amid economic turmoil and climate shocks, communities unite to rebuild sustainably. Advances in renewable energy, decentralized finance, and humanitarian technology empower individuals. While challenges remain, humanity embarks on a renaissance, one that echoes Revelation's promise of a new heaven and earth. Scenario 3. Prophetic fulfillment deferred. In a surprising turn, the worst-case signs peak in 2024 before receding into manageable crises in 2025. Early warnings record fires, pandemics, cyber blackouts shake the world but prompt swift, coordinated action. A global climate accord, backed by carbon capture technology, curtails worst-case warming. A universal pandemic treaty funds rapid vaccine distribution and real-time data sharing. A Cyber Geneva Convention limits state-sponsored hacking. Surveillance oversight boards rein in tech overreach. Unexpectedly, Revelation symbols become cautionary tales rather than dread prophecies. Humanity, having glimpsed potential apocalypse, resolves to rewrite its story, steering history toward redemption rather than ruin. The year 2025 stands on the horizon like a crossroads in time. Will we stumble into chaos, or will we heed the ancient warnings and forge a new path? The choice rests not in divine decree alone, but within every mind and heart willing to confront these truths. Take a moment now to look inward. Which scenario feels closest to your reality? Are we slipping toward a global blackout and societal collapse, or standing on the cusp of a collective awakening that can reshape our future? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your perspective might spark the breakthrough conversation the world desperately needs. If tonight's journey through prophecy and modern science resonated with you, do more than watch. Become part of the community confronting these questions head-on. Hit like to let us know this exploration mattered. Subscribe and ring the notification bell to miss our upcoming deep dive in the third seal unveiled. Silent judgments in plain sight. Every subscription brings us one step closer to 1,000 engaged seekers, each committed to pursuing truth beyond the headlines. Above all, carry this perspective into your daily life. Notice the patterns around you, the whispers of ancient texts and modern events, and ask, what action must I take today to steer history toward hope? Whether you're lighting a candle in prayer, volunteering in your community, or simply opening your mind to deeper understanding, every step matters. Thank you for staying with us on this journey through Revelation in 2025. May the light of awareness guide you through the shadows ahead and, perhaps, together, we can rewrite what comes next.